Welcome to another classy one. It's been a while, but today we're going to be learning about the Articles of Confederation. Now, I know a lot of you probably think Confederation and think Civil War. I'm really hoping you do, but that's not the case. The Articles of Confederation were our first government in the United States. Now, I know you guys hear about the Constitution, which is something that sets up our government, and they're kind of the same thing, but the Articles of Confederation were first, and they weren't that good. But before we start, I know you might be asking yourself the question, why do we even have a government? Like, it makes my life more difficult. My healthcare costs are up. Wait, I have those issues. You ask, why do we have government? They give me taxes on my Takis. Well, we have government to provide order. I know all of you are really obsessed with the movie The Purge, which you should not have watched yet. But you're obsessed with that movie, and it's basically showing you just a little sliver of what government, or the lack of government, would be like in America. Now, is that a pretty bleak outlook? Yeah, it's pretty bad. And now, when we think about the Purge, we think that all this chaos, but government protects us from that chaos. And now what it does is it provides order. And the Americas needed that at this point, because we are now at this point rebelling against Great Britain, the most powerful nation on the planet. It's 1777, and we're like, okay, we need to have something that governs us. We need to have a government that can make decisions and fight this humongous nation over here, even though it's small, but it's just very powerful. So they decided to make the Articles of Confederation. It was first drafted in 1777. But it took a while to get ratified by all the states. And now, it's our first attempt at a government, and we're under pressure. We're getting attacked at this point. But as you all know, first attempts usually don't work out well. Like if I were to try to do a magic trick for you guys, it probably wouldn't work out well because I don't know magic. But luckily, I have some cards here. So, go ahead. Pick a card. This one. Okay. Memorize it. I'm not looking. Goes on the top of the deck. And now I shuffle. And it should be the top card. You ready? Is that it? No? Dang it. So, not good at magic. But it's also like if I try to chop a tree down with one swing, it wouldn't really work. But our first attempt, it was a valiant effort. It did some really good things. Like because of it, or it helped us beat Britain. There was a saying that says the sun never set on the British Empire. That meant that it owned so much land around the world that the sun literally didn't set on it. We also had a treaty with France. France was a very powerful nation. We needed help, and we established a peace treaty with them, something that really helped us later on. And also, it gave citizen rights. We're all about our rights here in America. Our right to choose, our right to do this, our right to do this. But this is where it started. It started at the Articles of Confederation. But the Articles of Confederation was actually very, very weak. Those are some good things that it did, but it was really weak. And let me show you some examples here. So, first of all, it couldn't get any money. If you're wondering why I'm using Monopoly money, I am a teacher. So, it couldn't get any money. And actually, it got to the point where the 13 colonies were printing their own different currency, which makes it really hard to trade with one another. It couldn't regulate any money in between the states. So what would happen is like Georgia would send something to North Carolina. North Carolina would just keep it and be like, oh, I'm sorry. We lost it. We lost the money and we didn't pay you. And there was no consequences for it. And not only that, they couldn't impose taxes. They couldn't get this glorious money that helped drive them into this new world. And with that, since they couldn't raise money, on top of that as well, there's no executive branch, so like law and order is pretty much gone. And there was no judicial branch either, so if anyone encroached or took away some of your rights, there was no one to defend it. And on top of all that, so we have no money being raised, we have no executive branch, which means like no president, no policeman, nothing, no law and order, no court. They couldn't even pass laws well. So really, what happened was with the Articles of Confederation, they took this idea from Britain and they're like, we don't like this really strong central government. And Britain did have a really strong central government. They had a king. The king could tell you to do whatever you want. But they didn't want that, so it's like they overcorrected. They were over here, like, okay, we don't want this. So they just went all the way on this side. They went too weak. And so they decided, after having it for a while, that, yeah, this wasn't our best first attempt. It was well-intentioned, but not good. So what they decided to do instead was redraft it, and they drafted the Constitution. So think about that for a bit. What's the purpose of government? And was our government even a good one? Because with those lessons that we learned to have a stronger central government, we made probably one of the best governments this world has ever seen. It's one of the first places where the transition of power happens without conflict. Well, I hope you all are having a good day. I hope you all enjoyed the video, and we'll see you next time when we talk about the Constitution.